She was who you wanted taking care of you if you had to be taken care of. Nurse Audrey, compassion personified.
My mom was a beautiful person. She loved being a nurse. Her patients and her coworkers loved her.
Audrey was spunky and full of energy. That's how I remember her. A lot of life. She did.
And Audrey fit a lot into that life. She had her oldest daughter, Sansia, when she was just 22. And while things didn't work out between her and Sansia's father, they remained friends. And before long, Audrey would have a second chance at love.
What about when she met Jeff? What did you think of him?
I liked him.
Was she happy?
She seemed like she was.
His name was Jeff Herron, and he was the son of a wealthy golf course owner.
They were always, hugging.
And the playful young couple quickly made the leap from going steady to dating more permanently, seen here in their happy wedding photos.
You know, even though I wasn't his child, he still considered me his daughter, and I still called him Dad.
And soon there were others calling Jeff Dad and Audrey Mom. A little girl named Katie with a newborn son named Quinn following 2 years after that.
When you think of your mom, what makes you smile?
Oh my goodness. Like, I remember sitting in the back with Sans and her. Like, they would sing to music in the car.
I don't think you were ever in the car with her without, music blasting and the windows down.
But sadly, there's a reason the girls now talk about their mom in past tense. Sansia was 10 years old when it happened. Katie, just 4. It was the Thursday before Labor Day weekend, August 29th. Audrey was working the late shift at the medical center, while Sansia and Audrey's mother Shirley were just returning from a month-long trip to Florida.
I talked to her that night, and she was coming over in the morning.
She seemed upbeat.
Yes, yeah, she was excited that Sansi was back, and she was going to see Sans and me.
And there was even more reason to be excited. Around 9:30 that night, Audrey reportedly called Jeff with big news. She had just gotten a raise.
She was happy she had gotten that raise, and everything was good.
But everything wouldn't be for long. Sometime in the middle of the night, Audrey's husband Jeff says he wakes up to find the bed empty.
Jeff called me at 6:30 that morning and asked me if Audrey was there. She hadn't come home.
A call to the medical center where she worked revealed she left at the normal time the night before, 11 p.m. So where was she? Jeff continues making calls to family members, and around 9:30 that morning, word finally reaches Audrey's stepmom, who knows just what to do.
Audrey Herron's stepmother worked at division headquarters for the state police, and I received a phone call here at around 10 o'clock in the morning.
New York State Police Sergeant William Fitzmaurice and Lieutenant Peter Kosminski are two of the first to arrive, and after talking to everyone at the house, they formulate a plan of attack.
At what point do you say, all right, we need to go out and hit the pavement and start searching for this woman?
Well, we did it right away. We had a helicopter by that afternoon to check that route. If there was an accident or something along those lines, which most of them turn out to be on something like this, you usually want to get there as quick as possible.
It had rained the night before, and the road leading to Audrey's home was heavily wooded and poorly lit.
At that point, we thought she had gone off the road.
What is the speed?
But an exhaustive search of the 12 miles between Audrey's work and home turns up no skid marks, no dented guardrails, no sign of Audrey or her 4,000-pound Jeep Grand Cherokee at all. So investigators question the last known people to see her alive, her co-workers.
Talk to me about what happened that night.
So after the shift at 11 o'clock, they came out that door, walked down through the parking lot here. Her car was parked next to the black Chevy, the second spot in. They said their goodbyes, and they drove out this road.
One of Audrey's co-workers goes on to tell police that Audrey was right behind her when she left the parking lot.
Did the co-worker say for how long she was following her?
It was about 5 minutes, I believe.
After that, the co-worker says the two took different paths, which left 10 minutes between that point and when Audrey should have been home.
What was the mood like? What were people doing?
There was officers there, and Jeff was distraught. I didn't tell Sansa anything then, because I was still hoping.
But Shirley can only keep it from Audrey's oldest for so long.
I remember as soon as my grandmother told me that she was gone, I just knew she was really gone. And I think that's probably when my childhood kind of ended, is then.
So where did Audrey Herron go?
Is it even possible your daughter would just disappear on her own?
No, not at all. She loved her children.
But if she didn't leave on her own, and if it wasn't an accident, that only left one option.
Something horrible happened that was nefarious.
In the days after Audrey Herron went missing, New York State Police scour every inch of the road she traveled that night.
Did anything ever come up on the route?
No, nothing ever came up. We've probably researched it a dozen times just to make sure that somebody didn't miss something. Each body of water along that route, even a route that maybe she had taken as a detour or a change for some reason.
At what point did you say, this is not a typical missing person case anymore?
Probably a few days into it when we didn't come up with the car. I mean, that's one of the most frustrating parts and most unusual parts of this missing person case. The majority of missing person cases, you will come up with the car dumped somewhere or in a parking lot somewhere.
And since everyone was convinced Audrey never would have just left on her own, all signs were pointing to foul play.
Typically, in a missing person investigation, especially something as bizarre as this one, you have to start at the inner circle. Generally the spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend.
You always start with the people who knew the victim and were close to him.
And that meant questioning Audrey's husband, Jeff.
Did you find her husband to be cooperative?
Somewhat. At times he was, and at times there was a little bit, maybe not fully.
What did that mean? Unfortunately, neither Lieutenant Kosminski nor Sergeant Fitzmaurice would elaborate.
He's been cooperative to a degree, I would classify it as.
Did he allow you to search the home?
No, he allowed us to search. Very cooperative at the residence, no problems there.
Did anything come of that search?
No.
Nothing at all?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
No blood? Nothing?
Nothing.
And why would Jeff want his wife dead anyway? Even if she had a life insurance policy, his family was wealthy, and there didn't seem to be any of the other factors investigators often find in these cases.
Do you think she was having an affair?
Oh, God, no. One of us would have known. You got to tell one of your girlfriends, you know what I mean? So, no, she wasn't that girl.
And so police continued to look elsewhere, even questioning the father of Audrey's first child, Sansia.
My mom and him ended things when I was not even 1 year old, so.
During your investigation, have you come up with anyone who would want to harm her, or any enemies at all?
No.
No one?
No one.
As far as people at work, did she have any enemies?
No, everything seemed to be fine at work. There was no reports of anything like that.
But then, maybe Audrey wasn't the real target.
All the little theories that come around, they don't make sense to me. Even the Russian theory.
What's the Russian theory?
Oh, they all think the Russian mob is, took her.
The Russian mob for Audrey?
Why?
The golf course that Audrey's husband's family owned, the silent partner, as they call him, was Russian.
There was rumor that his father owed them money, and they were warning him. They took her to warn him.
And as far-fetched as it seems, police did investigate.
They left an officer there because they thought it might be ransom, that maybe someone would call wanting money. So there was this officer that stayed 1 or 2 weeks.
But that call never came, and none of the other leads police were chasing seemed to pan out either.
You've drained lakes.
Yes.
You've searched by air.
We've done ATV, we've done dog searches. We did an actual house-to-house where we talked to every resident or property owner within an 8-mile circle of her residence.
But nothing that led them to Audrey. And as weeks become months, even years, Audrey's loved ones had no choice but to settle in to the new normal.
Well, my sister, she moved in with her biological father. So it was like me and my brother in my house. And my brother was really little. He wasn't even 2 yet when it happened.
How has this impacted your grandmother?
It's definitely impacted her a lot. I think it's aged her a lot. She's struggled, I would say, much more than I have with it. She lost her daughter.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle.
But Audrey's family and friends refuse to accept that she can't be found. Each year, they organize fundraisers and other events to help keep her face out there.
You want her to know you haven't given up.
No. I'm sorry.
It's an emotional subject for obvious reasons.
I'm sorry.
But also, Audrey's friends say, because there's someone who should be joining them in the fight to find her who hasn't.
We put our first fundraiser on. Jeff didn't go.
Did his family show up?
No.
And when we asked police about it,
Did you ever see him out searching for his wife?
No.
and there was one more thing.
Do you know if he took a polygraph?
I heard he did, and it came back inconclusive.
It's been 15 years since Audrey Mae Herron drove away from work and disappeared into the night. Her father passed away before ever knowing the truth.
The one thing he wanted was to know where she was and what happened. And the kids, you know, they have to know.
Investigators say they do suspect foul play, but that they still have very little to prove it.
What do you need to crack this case and to bring her family answers?
We just need that one lead, that one piece of information that points us in the direction we need to go.
And police do still get regular leads, including one as recently as last year.
So did this come in as a tip to you?
It did.
And what did the tip say?
Basically, there was an indication that her body may be located at this location.
Her
along
body,
with
not
possibly
the car.
vehicle, along with possibly the vehicle.
It was a promising tip, and cops investigated it thoroughly.
We came here with a team of cadaver dogs, and we did search the entire property. And they picked a few places where we did excavate.
Police even went so far as to drain a large pond on the property, but like their own searches, it came up dry.
Did you search the property up here too?
Yes.
You did. You didn't find anything at all.
No.
No sign of Audrey or her vehicle.
I know she didn't leave, and I can't fathom someone ever wanting to harm her. But the only thing I know is that whoever did this to her planned, or they knew what they were doing. And it wasn't just a random thing.
And to make a person and their vehicle disappear, it was likely more than one person.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely got to be more than one person that knew about this.
And for a lot of people in the community, at least one of those persons was, and still is, Audrey's husband, Jeff.
Is that what everybody around here thought, is that Jeff had something to do with this?
Truth be told, yes.
My biggest question is, why has not Jeff helped in the search? On our part, we were trying to just get her name out there. Why was he not helping us?
That may be a good question, but cops say it's not nearly enough to point the finger of guilt at Jeff.
It is hard for me to understand as to why he doesn't go to things more often, because I want to get my mom's face out there. But I think he sees it as he is protecting his children, and I think that's what he does by not going to these things so much and staying away from the news and the media.
But what about those rumors Jeff took a polygraph test which came back inconclusive?
There was a report that he took a lie detector. Can you confirm that?
I can't really comment on that.
We did reach out to Jeff for an interview, but at the time, he declined.
Do you have any persons of interest or suspects on the record?
No.
And so we're not saying that Jeff is a person of interest or a suspect, but he is the spouse, and normally in these types of cases you have to rule in or rule out the closest people to the missing person. Is that accurate?
I would say that no one's been ruled out in this case.
And with that in mind, we decided to try one more time to get Jeff's side of the story.
Are you ready for the truth, no matter what the truth is?
Yeah. It's like one of my biggest fears, but like also I fear not knowing what happened, so.
So if you were to find out someone did something to your mom, and maybe it was someone you knew, it would be hard for you, but it's something you could accept.
Yeah, I need to know.
Hey, Jeff. Michelle Sagona here from Crime Watch Daily. We're working on Audrey's case. Are you home?
There was no answer from Jeff, but just down the road, we caught up with his father, Ron Heron, while he was out doing yard work.
How difficult has this been for Jeff?
Well, that's changed his life tremendously, you know. So, yeah, he's survived through it. So.
Well, a lot of people have pointed the finger at Jeff and have thought maybe he had something to do with this. What do you tell those people?
They're nuts. You know, he hasn't got a bad bone in his body.
As for Jeff not participating in those searches,
well, you got that wrong. I mean, not searching for his wife, that's totally wrong. But not going to a lot of these
Functions
is a good way to put it. That screws them up, you know, for the kids and for him. That just brings everything boiling, and that's he stayed away on purpose.
And he has something to say about some of those other rumors as well.
Did Jeff take a polygraph?
Oh, yeah.
Did he pass it?
Oh, yeah.
So he's been willing to give his time. He's been willing to take a polygraph. He's willing to do what it takes to clear his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, he says there was never a motive for Jeff to hurt his wife in the first place.
Most problems in marriages come from money. You know, they don't have that problem.
No money issues.
No money issues.
No
that was
marital
one
issues.
Of the things that we thought may be going on, that she was kidnapped, and you know, we were going to get a phone call for ransom. But
you were ready to help with the ransom.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You would have done anything.
No, I'm the one with them. I was the one with the money. So, yeah.
So then, what does Ron think happened to the mother of his grandchildren?
Do you believe Audrey is alive?
No.
Why do you say that?
I don't feel her.
Where do you think the vehicle is in all of this?
There's a good question. The only thing you can come up with the vehicle, after all this time, never been found. It was either crushed, shredded, crushed, or her and the vehicle were put into a container someplace and shipped someplace.
Sent somewhere.
Yeah.
Police do stress that until they get the right piece of evidence, nothing is off the table. But now they need the public's help.
Probably the worst part of the case for me is not finding that car. That would at least give us another jump start into maybe where this case leads.
People at home, what can they look for as far as the vehicle is concerned?
It's a 94 black, it's a Grand Cherokee. It was a New York Liberty plate, and it was X-ray 233 Union Victor.
A 15-minute drive, a 15 years long mystery. The only certainty being that Audrey Mae Heron is gone. But today, both of her daughters have found a way to keep their mom close, following in her footsteps to become nurses.
Why did you decide to go into nursing?
Well, my mom brought me to work a couple of times. And, you know, I saw her patients loved her coworkers loved her. I decided that I would like to do something like that as well.
You're also in nursing school?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's a way to help you feel more connected to your mom?
Well, we definitely are like honoring her in that way. We're all nurses, so it's kind of cool.
If there was something you could say to your mom today, what would it be?
That we love her and we miss her, and we will never, ever stop looking for her. Even if I'm 80 years old, I'll still be looking for her. she deserves answers and she deserves justice.
Once again, here's a picture of Audrey Heron. She was driving a black Jeep Grand Cherokee with New York license plates reading X233UV. Anyone with information about the case is asked to call the state police at 518-622-8600